Welcome to the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand. Yes, good evening and welcome to another edition of Top of the Kop, back for episode 22. And welcome for a glorious edition with another Liverpool fan as well, which always makes it better. Here's what's coming up on the show. I've got a comprehensive football roundup. After that, we'll get into some questions for our guest. And then after that, a classic Matchday Mixer, as well as a classic Would You Rather as well. We're going to be asking Ade some questions along the night. But here he is, Mr. Ade from Sky Sports, Talk Sport, you name it. He covers the sports. How are we, sir?
Not bad, man. Not bad. Good to finally get on. I've seen some of the guests you've had on. I'm like, well, what's going on? Where's my turn? So it's good now that I get my turn to come on.
Exactly, and here you are. So we'll get into some Liverpool scores and some other results and the look ahead to the international break in a second. But you were actually with a Liverpool legend today, a certified Liverpool legend. Jamie Carragher, obviously you working at TalkSport, bro. Talk to us about what you were doing today with Jamie. I'll actually try and get a picture up whilst you're talking.
Yeah, no, look, I can't lie. I completely fanboyed. So I knew he was coming. And they said that Jamie Carragher is going to be coming and doing some stuff for Adrian Durham. And I thought, you know what? I've got to like get there and see if I can do something with him. I was lucky to ask a couple of questions about, coaching wise. And obviously we look at Jamie Carragher and we think, obviously, this is the guy that's probably one of the best pundits out there alongside the likes of Gary Neville and Roy Keane. But I always look at him and think, this is the guy that I still think could be a manager. I still think that one day, fingers crossed, you never know, if and when, there's the photo right there, eh? Even when Klopp does go. And I don't ever want Klopp to go, but if Klopp ever does, I'd love to see a team of sort of Gerrard and Carragher be on the touchline at Anfield. That would be the dream. So yeah, it was just good to have him. Good to see him. They say you don't meet your heroes. That's rubbish. It was great to meet him.
Yeah, the picture looks good there, bro. He's definitely getting greyer, isn't he, old Carroll?
Mate, he's getting great, but he's in great shape though.
He's in shape though. No, he goes.
You can see it, right? Look at the triceps.
Yeah, he's a big lad still. He goes to the Rotunda Boxing Club in Liverpool, same as Tony Bellew. So yeah, keeping in good shape. Carragher, always a pleasure to bump into one of your heroes. Let's get into some comments here. Hi, Alex. AGT in the house today, and probably for the next month or so onwards, guys. I am recording from Tenerife, so if you see me gradually getting a little bit of a Mediterranean tan, you know why. But I got to put the hours in on the sunbed before. But no, it's a work trip, really. Some questions coming in for Ade, which we'll answer later on in the show. But let's talk about the weekend's action, man. It was a tough stalemate at the Etihad. Obviously, big Liverpool fan yourself. First of all, tell us how you became a Liverpool fan, and then we'll obviously break down what happened in the Manchester City game.
Yeah, no doubt my dad was a glory hunter. So it's weird though. I think most fans coming from Africa, I've got a Nigerian background. So my dad back then, you almost go to the best black player in the world. And the best black player in the world right then was no doubt John Barnes. So my dad sort of gravitated to John Barnes. John Barnes obviously at Liverpool. And then you just follow in the footsteps of your dad. So that was it for me. I was stuck. I say stuck with Liverpool because we had some hard times sort of in the early 90s under the likes of Graham Souness. I'm not going to forget those times. Yeah. But I've been a Liverpool fan since. Obviously, a good time to be a Liverpool fan now. But I like the idea of going through the pain we've gone through to get to where we are now. And it feels really good, having grown up seeing United dominate and Arsenal and Chelsea, to see Liverpool finally on their perch. So Exactly. I thank my dad for picking Liverpool as a kid.
Love that. Well, my mum is a Scouser, all my family from Liverpool, and she sold burgers and hot dogs in the Kop stand the 70s. Yeah. So for me, it was like a day old. The lifetime partnership was officially agreed then, and yes, there has been some ups and downs. Of course, there has, but we wouldn't change it for the world. So let's talk about the 1-1 then. So most shocking thing to come out of that 90 minutes, I think, at the Etihad was Kevin De Bruyne missing a penalty. We can talk about the Liverpool penalty and the Jesus equaliser, but would you agree that was the biggest kind of moment when De Bruyne puts that wide?
Couldn't believe it. Honestly, it's almost like there's certain players in the world that when they step up and take penalties, you just don't expect them to miss. And De Bruyne is definitely sort of in that sort of 5 or 6 players. Even though City have had troubles with penalties in the last couple of seasons, they don't have a penalty taker that they really trust in. Obviously, Aguero, if he was on, he would have taken the penalty, but you expect De Bruyne just to put it away. You honestly, and funny thing is, it was a miss, but it was a good penalty. It was going to be right in that bottom corner. So it would have been interesting to see what Liverpool would have done tactically if he scored, and we have to then chase the game. But thank God he didn't. And in the end, look, it wasn't the best second half performance, but we are talking about City. I know they might be sort of midway down the table, but they'll be there and thereabouts at the end of the season. And I think a point at the Etihad, as they're starting to come back into form as well now, is a good point. But I think it is a bit concerning how our legs seem to tire in the second half. But I think it was an excellent first half. And I think we should have, and this is what Liverpool have been guilty of in the last couple of seasons, we should have been 1 or 2 up, I think. Maybe, 2 or 3 up from the first half. We had the opportunities, but in the end, it's a point at the Etihad, and you can't complain too much.
You can't complain too much. One of the questions that I posed to fans straight after the game on the fan cams was, are we happy with the draw? And the conclusion that we kind of came to was, I think the game was more important for City to win than it was for Liverpool to win. And the fact that we've come away with a draw when, we didn't win there last season or the season before that, we can be happy with the draw. Obviously, the thumbnail to this video is Trent looking like he's injured, head in hands. Liverpool today kind of pushed away rumours that he looks to be out for 4 weeks, Ade. Hopefully it's not too serious at all. Klopp has already confirmed that he's going to miss the England internationals. I mean, we've got a special question on right backs later on in the show, so I won't try and ruin it too much. But it's going to be a huge blow, whether it's 2 weeks or 4. Hopefully it's the 2 weeks, because obviously the international break is taking place now. But if we lose him, we lose a lot of creativity on that right-hand side, obviously, don't we?
Yeah, massive amounts. You're talking about our most creative player. I mean, we haven't seen much of Thiago. No doubt Thiago is going to take that mantle when he starts to play a consecutive run of games. But everything comes down from that right side, really, with Trent. I mean, look, Andy Robertson does exactly what he does on the left, but Trent's integral, not just for what he does going forward, but let's not forget corners, free kicks as well. I mean, every dead ball situation, Trent's over it. So it is a big blow. I do wonder if he is out for a couple of games, will Jurgen Klopp go to Milner? Will he go to Nico Williams? So we do have options finally in that position, but it is a massive blow. I mean, our defense is just getting torn apart right now, and we do
13 first players. Yeah,
it's crazy, right? It's crazy.
Injuries, mad.
Yeah, it's funny because it's unreal, because even last season we had a lot of injuries, but everyone seemed to not really talk about them because they were so-called are not best players. Now, though, we've seen Alisson out. He's missed a couple of games. Obviously, Van Dijk's probably going to miss the whole season. Matip, I don't feel Matip's going to have a run of games. Keita, I've almost forgotten about him. And it's obviously disappointing to see Thiago as well. So, yeah, we are struggling right now. So, look, I think Klopp will look at the way the season started and think, considering the players that we've lost and where we are and who we've played, I think Liverpool have had a great season so far.
Yeah, you look at the perspective, and the perspective is, look, we've won all these games already without the likes of Thiago, Van Dijk, Fabinho, all on the same pitch at the same time. I just can't personally wait until we can see Henderson, Fabinho and Thiago in that midfield. I think that is the midfield that's going to win us the league, hopefully. Dines here says, big fan of his boxing channel, also a Liverpool fan, so big up Ade. Claudia T says, hi, Alex and Ade. Let's get on to some other results then. I mean, it's difficult for Liverpool fans to really talk about Aston Villa, but when we saw them put 3 past, and convincingly put 3 past Arsenal at the Emirates, 2 for Watkins and a goal for, who's the other scorer? Was it Grealish?
It was
Trezeguet,
yeah.
Trezeguet, that was it. So, I mean, that's crazy, bro. I mean, like I said, we can't really talk. We lost away, but to lose at home, in the kind of current form that Arsenal kind of did find themselves in. Now it's looking a bit gloomy for Arsenal, but that was a huge shock result, wasn't it?
Yeah, massive. And it's weird because the Liverpool one, people have almost we've chalked down to a freak result, right? It was just a crazy game. No excuses. They just were so much better than us. The Arsenal one's a bit concerning because it's come off the back of that good result against Manchester United. Yeah. Although they didn't play well, they beat United, and you'd expect some sort of momentum. It almost seems like 1 step forward, 2 steps back with Arteta. I still don't know what's going on. William hasn't worked out the way he started. Aubameyang, since he signed that big money move, so a big money contract, just almost vanished a little bit. I think he will come good, but they need to be concerned about him. I don't think Lacazette's good enough for Arsenal. I've said that for a while. I just don't think he's the guy to get you 20 goals a season. And then you look at Pepe. Again, Pepe has one good game, then disappears for 4 or 5, then one good one. So there are questions to be asked. Partey didn't look good in the midfield, but in saying it, let's give some credit to Villa, right? We always like to do that. Every time a big team loses, we try to dissect the big team. I think Villa played fantastic. I think Jack Grealish almost looks better now that he's got Barkley next to him. And it's almost a case of the shackles are off. Ollie Watkins looks fantastic up front. I was questioning that move from Brentford. Now I don't question it at all. This guy clearly knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. They look good. Emi Martinez, they really look good. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do what a Sheffield United did last season and maybe finish around 8th or 9th. I think they're that good right now. A
top 10 finish, I think, definitely in their reach. But like Arsenal, a big result against Man United. But then Aston Villa, they obviously beat Liverpool and Arsenal, but then they can't beat Leeds or Southampton. So that's kind of telling, isn't it? Or it's almost foreshadowing their finish. They're going to play well against the bigger teams, but they still are going to struggle in certain games. It probably ends you up at about 8th or 9th. So I think that's fair. Leicester, obviously 3 wins in a row for them. 1-0 against Wolves at home. They now sit top. I mean, our record is identical to Tottenham with Leicester just above us now. I mean, could Leicester realistically push, and try and get in that top 3, maybe top 2? They came close last season. I'd say 75% into it. They kind of down tools and just about scraped a European place, even though they would have wanted a Champions League place. But the title contenders still for you, who are they?
Title contenders, obviously Liverpool, Man City, no doubt. I know Man City are mid-table, but they'll come good. They're just
2 games in hand as well.
2 games in hand, exactly. I think Chelsea look good right now. I think what Mendy, it's hard to score against them. I mean, Sheffield United scored and it almost seemed to upset them, and then they went up another gear. And not only that, but I think they've got more depth than maybe even more depth than we've got right now. They look like they've got a massive amount of good injuries, players. Maybe. Yeah, with injuries, massive amount of players on the bench, especially when you think of the likes of Tammy Abraham and Callum Hudson-Odoi. They were supposed to go out on loan. It didn't happen, so they've kept them as well. Pulisic is injured. When he comes back, he's the closest thing I've seen to Hazard for a Chelsea player. Yeah. They've got a lot there, and I guess Thiago at the back makes Zuma look really good now. It's almost like the Virgil van Dijk effect where Gomez and Matip look really good. Thiago's doing that with Zuma, so they've got a lot. Reece James looks good. Chilwell looks good. I don't know. I think they'll be thereabouts. I think as much as everyone's saying it's really open, I can only see 3 or 4. So I'd have Chelsea, I'd have Tottenham in there as well, just because Mourinho is a serial winner and he'll get them good. And then I think that's it. I think the rest will start well, but then fall off a cliff. I expect Leicester to do well, but they've not got enough depth. Wolves, the same thing. And I don't think United are going to be anywhere near it this time. So I expect 4. But in the end, I expect Liverpool to just do the business. We're Liverpool. We're going to win this league. Fact.
Bro, don't, because someone's going to clip this up. Someone will clip it up and embarrass us.
Clip me up. We're going to win it.
Clip it. No, listen, I'll obviously, I agree with you. I don't think we're going to run away with it like we did 19, 20 points, but I do think we'll clip it. Let's look ahead then to the international break. It's the 4th one already this season, bro. I mean, there isn't another one now until March, but it seems like they've just sandwiched a few more in, which is annoying in any time, but especially during a pandemic worldwide. I mean, it's the common sense would tell you that this probably isn't the right thing or the moral thing to be doing. Yeah,
it's silly, right? I mean, we're just happy that football's on, right? I mean, there is an argument right now. Let's be honest, the COVID cases are going up. There's an argument right now to say, let's sack football off. That obviously we know no one ever wants to see that, but why try and have more football? I mean, who cares about a friendly against Republic of Ireland? Who cares about a Nations League game against Iceland, right? Or Belgium? Like, I don't care about
Albania.
Exactly. But who really cares about the Nations League? When all's said and done, and we look back in 30 years, who's going to care who wins the Nations League? It means absolutely nothing. Look, I'm happy for the likes of Jude Bellingham, right? It gets him a chance, and he might get a cap, and the others that don't have caps, the likes of Saka, maybe to get a few more caps. But I mean, it's silly. It really is silly. And I would like Jordan Henderson to pull out of it personally. I'd like for Liverpool to say, he's got an injury, don't go. Because it's just, I don't understand why the experienced players need to turn up for this one.
I totally agree. He's got so many options to choose from there. It almost seems a bit unnecessary to be taking the big timers. David here says need to toss the internationals, I should say. But looking forward ahead to that game on Sunday. Thursday we play Ireland, and then it's Belgium on Sunday and Iceland the following Wednesday. I mean, this is 3 games, bro. in such a short amount of time. I mean, I'm pretty sure it wasn't like this last season or the season before. So how are clubs feeling about this? Because as you can imagine, Klopp has all of his players here. He feels safe when they're all in the changing room in the, well, not Melwood anymore. It'd be Kirby when they come back. But he's come out, obviously, and said that he feels the players are at their most safest when they're with each other. To have them all going around the world and then come back, not only are you risking injury, but also COVID. So we'll see what happens with that. But what can we expect from this coming up, these 3 games? I mean, in terms of Liverpool players, Trent obviously won't be around. Gomez is in the squad, and Henderson as well. So what can we expect from these games?
It depends what formation he does. I mean, if he goes to that kind of back 5 where he plays three central defenders, then I probably expect to see Gomez, maybe Kyle Walker and Maguire. Personally, I don't think Maguire is good enough for England.
He's not up to it.
He's not up to it at all. I mean, he really is that bad, Maguire.
Isn't he suspended still? Or
he might be, but he'll play the friendly against Republic of Ireland. He'll play that one, won't he? He probably won't play the Nations League games. Midfield, look, it's a place where I think we've got a lot of depth in that squad. It'd be good to see Phil Foden. I like Phil Foden. I just think England need to kind of nurture these type of players. So it'd be good to see him, what he does. I hope Jude Bellingham does play. I spoke to his academy coach at Birmingham City today, and he said, look, Jude won't just be happy being in the squad. He wants to play. And his rise proves that he's good enough to play. I'm upset that Ross Barkley's not in, and that's difficult for me to say as a former Everton player, but I think what he's shown so far for Aston Villa shows that he's a good player. It'd be good to see Jack Grealish. But then for me, the questions are up front. What's he going to go with? What is it going to be? Sterling, Kane, Rashford? Is Sancho going to force his way in? And we're blessed right now. England have options up front. I mean, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he's gone a bit cold right now, but he's still there as well. So I want to see an attacking team. He went really defensive last time. Remember, he played Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice. Scrap that. Let's show what we've got. Let's use our strengths, and our strengths lie going forward. So hopefully he plays a more attacking team this time.
Yeah, we'll have to see on Thursday. No, I am looking forward to the Ireland game. I think that is always a fun one. It's just such a shame that the fans can't be there for that, because
thank God the fans
that would have been a madness, bro.
Absolute madness.
I love it. To be fair, there's a few Irish bars around the corner, so I might watch it. In one of those. Yeah. Well, English and Irish to myself, so
yes.
I'll have to decide on the day, kind of thing. A couple more questions coming in for Ade, which we will save for the end of the show. But here's my favourite part. It's the Matchday Mixer. Now, obviously, as we've all mentioned so many times now, it's countless amount of times, can't go to the game. So I thought, why not bring the 5 best experiences from the Matchday to you guys? So before the show, I've asked Ade to come with a favourite jacket, a favourite pair of trainers, some music, some food and a drink. All essential things that we all love and do on a match day. Everyone knows it, right? So let's get into these then. So we're going to start off, like I always do, with the clothes. You've gone for a Stone Island jacket. This is like a kind of hooded zip up. It's a beautiful piece. I mean, obviously, you have to be nice and warm at the games, and you're going to look the part in this, aren't you?
Absolutely. I mean, come on, right? The funny thing is about the Stone Island jacket is, I remember when I was young, you could never afford this. I used to see people with them, and I wasn't sure if they were snides or real. But
if it was on the right,
remember that was the thing, right?
If it's on the right, it's a snide. It's a Jekyll.
So I was like, I couldn't afford one. I always wanted one, and I live close to Upton Park, so West Ham's ground. Yeah. I remember all the West Ham boys used to have them on, and I remember I used to be so jealous of seeing a Stone Island. So for me, now that I'm a bit older, with a bit more money in the bank, I remember I got a Stone Island, and I thought, you know what, let me cop one because I couldn't before. So, and that Stone Island jacket was always the dream, and I finally got one.
Well, there you've got one now, bro. The Sky Sports money, the Talk Sport money, it's all coming in handy nowadays. Some trainers, I think the Air Jordan 1s are the kind of taste of the minute, aren't they, in the sneaker world? Big fan of these. I've got a pair of Air 1 Olympic 93s at home in my collection, which is, funnily enough, the only ones that I have. I've got 3s, 4s, and 6s as well.
Jeez.
But talk to me about these ones, bro.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with the classics. I'm an old school man. Obviously, they're out now and the kids love them, but these are old school. I mean,
trust me.
Yeah, I'm 39 years old, so I remember these when Jordan was actually wearing these. So which is a bit crazy, right? Look, I love those. I love the Converse. I try to keep it very simple.
You do like a Converse, don't you? I've seen.
I love a pair of Chuck Taylors. So, but I just remember these ones a lot. My big brother had a pair, and I don't know if you got any older family members, but you used to get hand-me-downs.
Of course, bro.
So I remember my big brother like wearing them a bit to the point where I thought there's still a bit of life in them, and wearing them and just thinking I was the coolest kid on the block, the coolest kid wearing Air Jordan 1. So that's why I've gone for Air Jordans.
No, do you know what? I can actually say the best pair of football boots I've ever had in my life were hand-me-downs from my friend Jordan. We were playing under 9s, and remember the champagne Preds?
Oh,
the Beckham, the white ones. I mean, this kid that I played centre back with at the time, he had a bit of that. His parents had a bit of that.
It's funny you say that because one of my good friends is out on Fairwell. He used to play for Tottenham.
Yeah.
And him coming through, he was sponsored by Adidas. So Adidas used to send him boots. So I used to get all his Predator boots. He used to send him Predator boots all the time. And I used to think I was a baller. I was never that good, but I used to think with those boots on, remember boots always give you that bit of extra. You feel like you're exciting when you got a bit of boots on, So,
but you have to live up to the name though, because if you come out wearing like pink boots, you've got to back your chat up as well. Because if I'm wearing the black Copa Mundials and I see my opponent wearing the pinks, he's getting one early doors. Let him know you're
early doors, mate.
Early doors. No, I love that. Great choice. Let's get on to your music. You've been playing a lot of this fella's stuff on your Instagram stories as well recently. Tupac Shakur. Funnily enough, a funny fact about Tupac, actually born in New York. And then moved to LA at a young age. So he says he was West Coast, but he was born on the East Coast.
Born on the East Coast, but he always says that West Coast gave him more love. And that's when he became who he is in terms of how popular he became. Yeah, I'm a massive Tupac fan. And you might not find a bigger Tupac fan in the whole of the country than me. I used to have his posters. Wow. Honestly, I used to have his posters all over my wall. I've got his music for when I'm upbeat. I've got his music for when I'm a bit down, when I need to think. I've always got a choice of Tupac music. So yeah, massive Tupac fan. And it's funny because even when I'm going to work, wherever I'm going, in the gym, Tupac's always the choice of music for me. Because I feel like, although he died at 25, I feel like he was so beyond his wisdom for such a young man. And I think that's what we all strive to be a bit smarter and a bit wiser. So yeah, massive Tupac fan.
For me, his impact on society wasn't just music. It was so much more than that. This man wasn't just a rapper. He was an author, he was an activist, he was a poet. Yeah. And this is why it's difficult for me to actually compare him to Biggie. I think they're separate entities that can't really, they're just unlucky / lucky that they were kind of head to head in that era of what I would call golden era hip hop, kind of mid to late 90s. But yeah, like you say, such a waste of life, only 25. But his impact still lives on. And the words, one thing about music, bro, and I listen to a lot of Oasis, a lot of early Jay-Z stuff. And the one thing about good music is that you can listen to it 25 years later and it still resonates. It still sounds good. It still sounds fresh. The beats are just golden, aren't they, from that era as well?
This is it. They weren't made to be club songs. Like songs right now are kind of made to be club bangers, right? Yeah. So you got a crazy beat, but you don't really listen to the lyrics as much. You're right. When you talk about Oasis and some of their classic stuff, it wasn't necessarily about the beats. You could listen to the lyrics as well. And I think that's the thing with Tupac. Don't get me wrong, Biggie, fantastic, Jay-Z, Nas. But for me, Tupac lyrically, it touched me. I evoked emotion, and that's why I still love him to this day.
Very clear as well in his voice. Great clarity in his cadence. But no, Tupac Shakur, you're actually the first person to pick Tupac. We get a lot of Oasis on this show, Top of the Kops. I mean, I know this is a Liverpool channel, but
that's probably what it is.
A lot of Oasis. Yeah, a lot of Oasis, which is obviously a big Man City band. But anyway, we move on. So obviously, bro, you've got to eat something at the match, whether it's before, during, or after. You've actually gone for the battered fish and chips. These actually look like these look decent. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fish and chips fan, but that looks decent there.
Mate, I'm looking at that now, and immediately we come off this, I'm definitely going straight to the fish and chippy. That looks fantastic. I was gonna go for a traditional burger and chips or something different like that, but you can't beat a good fish and chips when you're hungry. Look at the cod. Look at that.
Jeez.
Oh, Jesus. A bit of mushy peas on the side, and we are ticking every box right now. That is good. You know what's crazy? That is fug life. You know what's crazy about fish and chips? Like how expensive it is now. Like round me in London, I mean, £8 for fish and chips, which is crazy. But maybe I might not be able to afford it.
You go further into London, it starts becoming 13 or 14 or 15 or 16.
I've seen this. It's now become a fancy 3-course meal, and I'm like,
it's a gastro pub meal now. When really it was just a pub grub, eat out of the box meal, eat out of the newspaper.
Eat out of the newspaper. Now all of a sudden they try and make it fancy and try and give you like little fancy tartar sauce. I'm like, just give me the fish and chips, man. Stop this nonsense.
Yeah, no, big fan of that choice. Now, obviously, you've got to, wash this food down. Now, when you gave in your answer to the producer, what I think he's actually done is just typed in rum on Google Images, and there's 5 bottles of rum here, so you've got a choice.
Oh, well.
You've got Brugal, Goslings, Mount Gay. That's a great one, to be fair. Santa Teresa, I've never had that one, but my personal favourite is it's just Captain Morgan, to be honest. If I'm having a spice rum.
The spice rum. Yeah, Mount Gay. But you just said it there. I think Captain Morgan, the Spice Gold rum. That's a good one. I'm a Jack Daniels man personally, but I love a Jack. Yeah, I love a Jack. But I think Captain Morgan would be good. I think Jack's more of a night out, a little club. But if I'm going to a game, a little tip, then I'll probably do a little Captain Morgan. Maybe even straight as well.
No, I think you've got it the wrong way around.
Oh,
I think when you're at the game, the whiskey to warm you up, and then I always have Captain Morgan's on my nights out, and I'll tell you why. I remember being at Arsenal away with my cousin. This was 2010, I think, and I was only 16, and it was a very, very cold November night. It was the Carling Cup, I think, at the time. We lost 2-1. Emiliano Insua scored a mad goal, and I think Aquilani came on to make his debut.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, 2009, October, I think it was. And I remember me and my cousin standing there in the freezing cold, and he carried, it was like a family heirloom of ours, a whiskey flask. And whenever it would get a little bit cold, he'd go, "Yeah, lads, get on that." And I'd have a bit of whiskey. Only 16. Definitely warms you up, bro.
You know, maybe you're right. I might have got it wrong. I take it back. Maybe you're right. So maybe we will do the whiskey at the ground. So the Jack Daniels at the ground and the Captain Morgan to come home and celebrate the win.
Yes, or drown in
commiserate,
exactly. And drink that way anyway. Love that. David says a bourbon is nice.
Oh, he's right.
Gopal says bourbon as well. A lot of bourbon fans. Lemon and vinegar on the fish and chips. Obviously,
can't go wrong. Can't go wrong.
Cuz, are you mad? David also saying that the Beatles in 1964, he was in kindergarten. That's why he became a Red. So much like the Tupac link for yourself, this is how David kind of came up on the Beatles, which is amazing to hear. Right. That is the Matchday Mixer. Some great choices so far.
I think so.
So yeah, that is all of them. No, so basically you're going in the Stone Island jacket, you're wearing your Air Jordan ones, you've got Tupac in the headphones, you're munching on a fish and chips and having a little rum as well.
A little rum on the way, yes.
It sounds like a great day. I just cannot wait to actually do that day in person with you, bro.
Mate, we will do it soon. Oh, fingers crossed when the fans come back. I can't wait. It doesn't feel like it's going to happen until, I don't know, 21, 22. It's sad times. But when it does happen, can you imagine when fans are allowed, the noise that we're going to make? Jesus.
I actually think the decibel levels will go up because I think it will just be immense. It will be fever pitch. Literally will be fever pitch. To be fair, I've just got a news update from BBC News on my phone. Vaccine could be rolled out from December. So who knows? A lot of, if you believe the news, a lot of developments coming out over the last couple of days. So fingers crossed, we'll see, and we can do this Matchday Mixer in real life, bro. Trust me.
100%.
Right now, I mentioned earlier that we were going to speak about right backs during the show. This is the part of the episode where I ask you, would you rather? And it's a classic one this week. Who would you rather cover at right back? Obviously, we've spoken about Trent Alexander-Arnold being out for 2 to 4 weeks. On here, you've got Nico Williams, the Welsh international, James Milner, who filled in the other night, or you could even move Joe Gomez out to right back and play Matip and Fabinho at the back. That's another option that I think is on the table. So let's pretend that we're, maybe not going to be with Trent for 2 games. The Leicester game, and I think it's another Champions League game after that. Who would you go for, bro?
Tough one, That's a tough one. Like I like Nico Williams a lot.
Remember, this is Leicester, bro. This is they're top of the league right now. This is no joke, Lincoln in the cup.
You know, you've got to go to the middle man, right? You've got to go to Mr. Dependable. Look, when he plays left back for us, James Milner, obviously he cuts in. I'm going for Millie. When he plays left back, he kind of, I feel like it's unfair on him because he has to cut back on his right, so he kind of slows play down. But when he plays right back, he can just obviously whip it in with his right foot, and let's not forget he's got a great delivery as well. The reason I'm going to go with him over Joe Gomez because I like Joe at centre back now. I just feel like I trust him. Joe Gomez has had 4 or 5 centre back partners this season, so he's our Mr. Dependable right now at centre back. So I'm going to stick with Joe at centre back. I'm going to go for Millie, Mr. Dependable, never lets you down, and I just feel like he will do a solid 6, 7 out of 10 job. It's not going to be spectacular, but he'll do a solid job at right back for us. So I'm going Millie. Centre back.
You're going Millie for the short-term cover.
For the short-term cover.
You make a great point there because when we do see him play out on that left-hand side, naturally he cuts in and whips it in or lays it off to someone. Robertson would obviously just bomb on and cross it with his left foot. I think if you do put Milner on that right side and he does get from the halfway line and upwards, like you say, he's still got a great delivery, James.
He can deliver it now. Yeah, you don't have to cut in.
He can still deliver it in the box. And if he's on his right foot, it might even make sense for him to take corners on that side. So it's a great shout.
Defensively, let's be honest, he might be better than Trent defensively.
This is also a valid point.
Let's be very honest here now. Yeah. I love Trent Alexander-Arnold, but we know, I mean, there are still some questions defensively. But look, Millie's just dependable, isn't he? He's the kind of player that every single club would love to have a James Milner because he can fill in anywhere, and that's probably to his detriment.
According to heirs of the Kop,
Mate, I would not be shocked if Millie can be in goal. I'd rather have him sometimes than Adrian. I swear, Millie's Mr. Dependable.
And I'm not even gonna disagree with you, bro. Me too. Some interesting contradictions though in the comments. Go Pal here says Nico all day, but then Eds of the Cop says Nico still not ready for me. Me personally, I know Ade here has gone for Milner at right back. I'm gonna go with Nico Williams. I think personally, if you don't throw him in at a time like this where Trent's injured, he's probably thinking, well, when am I going to get to play then? When am I going to start? There's a 34 coming on 35-year-old man who's not even a right back who probably would play over me at right back, which seems crazy. He's the only natural right back here. So I'm going to go with Nico Williams. Gopal here adding that Trent made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. If we really trust him, we should believe in him. And that's the thing. These lads are going to make mistakes. Nico Williams has scored an international goal for Wales, a winner, by the way, in the last few games. So I think we put the faith in him. When Nathaniel Klein was injured back in 2016, I think it was, a lot of people then probably said, let's put Milner at right back. But what did we do? We gave Trent the chance. And has he looked back? No. He's won the Premier League, the Champions League, pretty much everything else. So I think we can really make Nico Williams into another excellent right back if we give him the opportunities. David agrees with me, says, yes, Alex, throw Nico in at the deep and let's get on with it. I think we have to, bro. As much as Milner is Mr. Dependable, I'm putting my foot down. It's got to be Nico Williams. He has to. You know
what scares me about Nico, and maybe it's not his fault, but even when you watch Liverpool now, a lot of teams target our right side, right? Because they look at it as the weakest side with Gomez and Trent. Now they're really going to target it with Gomez and Nico. I mean, that's very inexperienced. Well, Gomez not, because he's got 100 appearances for Liverpool, but that's the only thing that scares me about Nico, the experience. But you're right. How are you going to get that experience? You have to be thrown in the deep end. So, yeah, look, he can play for Wales. He can play for Liverpool. I have faith in him as well.
Again, there's so many disagreements in the comments here. Eds of the Cop then says Nico can start when Millie is injured. He got a stick in the cup. But then Pete says, and if Nico plays, he'll be more prepared for the future. And that's what it's all about. Yeah. We do want two great players in every position. So when Trent's out, for me, Nico Williams has to start. Otherwise, like you say, when is he going to start? So that was Would You Rather. I hope you enjoyed it. Now let's get on to some more classic moments here. Now, obviously, Top of the Cops is a play on words for Top of the Pops. And in Top of the Pops, there was always a countdown to number one every week, wasn't there?
There certainly was.
So we're going to start off with a number 2 this week. And this is one of our youngsters out on loan at Blackburn. This is Harvey Elliott. 2 assists and 2 goals in his 4 games so far for Blackburn. Still only 16, which is coincidentally the squad number that he's been given at Blackburn this season, Ade. I mean, it's a great start for him. We'll be pleased to see him playing so well. Do you think this is his level, or he can come back up and get into the first team in the years to come?
He can definitely come back up. I think he's already proven that he's above this level. And again, he's only 16. He's very confident. Like having sort of known, like just seeing his sort of demeanor and his attitude, I think he's kind of got the arrogance you need as well to say I'm above this. And I think he believes that he's above this level. He's played this level already for Fulham, and he's already done well. So he knows he's above this. I just feel like he's got time. Again, he's still a young lad, and so young. Like it's unbelievable
like,
how young he is.
A joke how young he is.
It's crazy, right? You know. So I feel like our squad is a lot thicker this season with the likes of Thiago coming in. But I thought there might have been something for him to stay, especially with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who's going to be out, it looks like, for the foreseeable future. I thought there might be an option for him to play, but no, I love him. I think he will be one for the future at Liverpool, definitely.
Absolutely. Still only 16, so many years ahead of him. I was actually, I remember watching his debut for us against Milton Keynes back in the Carling Cup.
How good was he then? Remember that game?
Well, I think he hit the bar that game.
Yeah.
And I mean, technically, he still hasn't scored a senior goal for Liverpool. He scored a lot in the preseason and in the under-23s and now in the Championship. But I just think things could have been a little bit different for him if that goal goes in on that night and then he gets a bit of momentum, scores a few more goals. Listen, I'm a big fan of his. I just hope that he stays on the right path and doesn't get too above his station as
it's
other
funny
players
you say
have done.
Yeah, because I actually thought there was a time when I thought he might have just been above Curtis Jones in terms of Klopp's thinking. And then Curtis Jones obviously played well against Arsenal. Obviously, that goal was it the FA Cup against Everton? Was it the FA Cup or Carabao Cup against Everton? And Curtis Jones definitely snuck above him. Took the penalty as well in that game. Let's not forget in the Arsenal game to get us through. Showed that arrogance and confidence. So then he crept above. I forgot his name now for a second.
Harvey Elliott.
Sorry, Harvey Elliott. Yeah, he crept above Harvey Elliott. But Harvey Elliott has definitely got a future. Definitely, I think he's one that Jurgen Klopp will be looking at closely. It's just how do you make that step up now when the squad is full of so many good players, so many good. I mean, you look at what Jota's done when he's come. I mean, do you know what I mean? That's the competition that's around, you know. So Minamino can't even get minutes on the pitch now. So it's a massive, massive squad now. So you've got to be really good to break through. And that's what we want as Liverpool fans. We want the squad to be that thick. It shouldn't be easy. The pathway should be hard. So we know once they are there, they're really good. That's what it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you. I think when you see players coming through of his age, you think there's so many different directions his career still could go. I remember Francis Jeffers at 16, 17. Everyone was talking about him being the next big thing at Arsenal. Look how his career, with all due respect, ended up. You look at someone like Ravel Morrison.
Wow.
A lot of players say, including Rio Ferdinand, say he's the best natural player he's ever seen. And now I think he's, I think he was taken on trial at Sheffield United. Now he's gone somewhere else. So there's so many ways a man's career can go, especially at this age.
I'd be off the rails. And this is the funny thing.
Trust me.
I'd be off the rails. And people always talk about them. Like, I think we at home sit down and we look at some of these kids and we're like, okay. And I'm like, give me 20, 30,000 at 17. I'm done. It's a wrap. You're not seeing me. So I rate
I love
these
how
guys.
honest you are, bro.
I've got to be honest. I mean, you got to be real, right? 20 bags at 16, 17 years old, driving Lambos, Ferrari Jeeps. Lambo Jeeps, Ferraris. Like, it must be difficult. So, I mean, look, credit to the ones that stay on the right path and make it to the top. But it can't be easy. It must be so difficult to go from earning $1,000 a week to jumping up to a big contract of 30. That is difficult. So, I think we give these kids too much stick sometimes. I think we all sometimes forget what we were like at 16, 17 and the responsibilities they've got. It's not easy.
Well, when I was 16, I can tell you, I had two jobs. One was at Next and one was at New Look. So, was it New Look? It was Next to New Look. And then I got sacked from New Look because I just didn't turn up one day. And now, look, I've got the Kop TV. So,
there
full circle.
It works out.
It all works out in the end, doesn't it?
Yes.
So, but yeah, when I was 16, it was a very, very different story. I tell you that. Heirs of the Kop says 2 or 3 years, he will be fire. Go pal. Harvey is superb on the ball, but he is not a winger for me. Someone like Tete from Shakhtar suits the direct wing forward role that Salah plays. Very precise and great knowledge there, to be honest, from Gopal. Harvey can be our false nine in the future, given he grows his physicality. I mean, yes, he will obviously do that with time. And, we can definitely expect to see him. But number one, and a very sad and emotional goodbye this week to Melwood Training Ground. Here's a picture that Carragher put up earlier, Ade, the man that you saw earlier. There you go. But he put this up as a kind of throwback to the days at Melwood. You can see from that kit, I think that's 93 to 95, the home kit. So Carragher came through, obviously, in kind of 96, 97. I mean, Melwood, my auntie and my family live so close to it. It was almost a tradition that every time I went to see them, we'd go past Melwood and see if we could get a peek over on the bins. It genuinely was an absolute institution, not only within Liverpool Football Club, but in British football history. And now to see us move to the upgraded, the new, the modern complex that we have with the Kirby move, it's going to be emotional, bro. And I think the players, when they come back after international duty, it won't hit them until then, will it?
No, it won't, right? I mean, Melwood's been at home, and every former Liverpool footballer seems to have put something up and they said some good words and kind words about it. But look, I'm always happy to see Liverpool sort of moving on and competing with the big boys. I mean, I've been lucky to go and see Manchester City's training ground, and it's ridiculous. Honestly, it's state of the art is an understatement for what they've built, and I'm happy that my Liverpool have now got something similar. I always felt that Liverpool sometimes we stand still with tradition, and look, tradition's beautiful and it's fantastic, but the clubs that we're competing against now are just literally motoring on, and I think we've got to be seen to be doing exactly the same thing as well. So yeah, look, Melbourne's got some fantastic memories. You always see the pictures of the kids with ladders looking over, and that opportunity to go and see your favorite player by just looking over, which is rare nowadays, right? And we had that connection with the community. But we have to move on. We have to move on, and we are going into the state-of-the-art training complex, right? I think it's the AXA Centre, I think it's called. 50, when you're spending 50 million quid on the training centre, it's the dog's bollocks, right? I mean, you are getting something scary. I mean, two full-size pitches, right? I mean, so look, I think the players will have their memories, but they'll move on very quickly. I mean, these players now are like robots and machines. They'll shed a few tears, then kick on and know that Liverpool now are going in the direction where we want to be one of the biggest clubs in the world. We want to attract the biggest players in the world. And sometimes taking them around the training centre does that. When you're competing against the Cities and United, sometimes walking around the training centre, look at what we've got. It shows them that we are a massive, massive club. So I think that's the way I want Liverpool to be. I want us to be a big club. That's why I was so happy when the Kop became bigger and they added a new stand as well. It's like, okay, we're competing now. And I think this shows that we're competing as well now. So yes, I'm upset about Melwood, but I'm more happy that we're there. We're part of the big boys now.
Yeah, you break it down nicely, I think, especially on transfer deadline day when a player does maybe a tour of a City and a Liverpool. Now you will really want to show and flex the muscle about what we're like. A lot of old school Liverpool fans, though, bro, this really will be a kind of anti-modern football move in many eyes.
I'm happy, though. I'm happy that we're not moving out of the area, so to speak. It's not too far. It's still within Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? You've got options sometimes when people move and it's away and it's far and you feel like you're just leaving tradition. We're still there. And I get it. It's almost like when Liverpool always had a manager that was from the boot room. And then that stopped with Gerard Houllier. Sometimes you got to move forward. And Roy Evans was our last manager for that. And sometimes you got to move forward. And I'm happy with what we're doing now. Look, there are going to be people upset. Again, that's why we've seen every former player leave messages. But right now, it's good. It's all good.
It's a sign of the times, a sign of change. But yeah, let me tell you, there's a lot of unhappy people. And also a shout from Carragher today on his post, which that picture was from. He's actually proposed for Liverpool to call the new training centre or name the old estate that's going to be left behind after Ronnie Moran, who is obviously a key figure through the start right up to the end of what you would call the boot room legacy that continued. Ronnie Moran was just always there throughout the ages, title winners, not title winners, right up until he died a few years ago. God rest his soul. But Carragher has put forward that Liverpool rename it after him. So we'll see if Liverpool do take on that responsibility.
They have to. That's the kind of thing that's important. I remember watching a piece when Ronnie Moran came to see, this is when Steven Gerrard was still playing for Liverpool, and Ronnie Moran came to see Steven Gerrard. The way Steven Gerrard idolized him and just came up to him and spoke to him. And you need to keep some traditions. I think it's important that we do that. That's one thing I like about Liverpool. All the old players and managers in and around the Kop and the stands. I love that. I think we need to do it 100%.
Go, pal. People shouldn't be fuming over the change. It's very tough to extend Melwood, given the outer housing area is very tight around the ground, the training ground. Some people are crying without even a lot of knowledge on LFC. One of the best things we've ever done was stay at Anfield. It's such a glorious traditional home that is now our fortress, not lost there in over 3.5 years now, of course. But Darren's right. I think when there was that period, Ade, of shall we get a new stadium or shall we extend Anfield? I definitely think it was a great decision. David here reminding us that it is a done deal and it is being called the AXA. So less governments, I think that is meant to say there. So yeah, I think the sensible option now would be to call the estate that is left in Melwood's place the Ronnie Moran estate. I think no one would disagree with that. Don Ronnie, absolutely. We're going to get into a couple of questions now for Ade to go through just before we finish. One of the ones up here was a great question from David. Is it time for Klopp to consider a 3-4-3 now with traditional defending and preventing counters and playmaking from the centre with the likes of Thiago and Shaq and Fabinho back at DM now that Trent is out? That's a great question. A lot of different parts to that question. I think now that Trent is out, is there any way that we could maybe look at a different formation?
We've seen him try different formations. He's been stuck in this rigid 4-3-3. I think we saw against City that he tried something different. I don't know if Klopp will try it. Sometimes there is a case of if it isn't broke, don't fix it with Liverpool. This is a team that's won the Champions League and the Premier League back-to-back with that 4-3-3 formation. All you have to do, and you rightly said, just stick Nico Williams in there, who can pretty much do what Trent can do. Not as good, but can do it. Why try and juggle it up and change it now? You don't need to change what Liverpool are doing right now. Liverpool are, I think, with Bayern Munich, the best team in the world. Why try and change formations and systems? Stick to what you have. I think maybe look at changing personnel. I think that's an option. But in terms of changing a system and a formation, I wouldn't yet, just because, again, we are the second or first best team in the world. There's no need to fix and change things yet.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think we go with what we know until we get the big boys back, aka Fabinho and Thiago. And like I said, when we see that midfield of Henderson, Thiago and Fabinho, that's when we're really going to see what Liverpool are about.
See, you want to drop Wijnaldum?
It's not a case of dropping Wijnaldum, but if you'd said to me, I'll ask you, what's our strongest three in midfield that would start? Because you can't drop Henderson, because the win rate with Henderson compared to without him, the leadership, the passion, everything that comes with it. He's one of the first names on the team sheet for me every single week. Yeah,
no, you're right. Henderson is, for me, now that Van Dijk's out, it would have been Van Dijk all day, but Henderson is like the first name on the team sheet without fail. We need that, everything he brings, that emotion, that character, that engine, that energy. No, you know, I'd go with what you've got. You're right. I think Fabinho, Thiago and Henderson. I just love Wijnaldum for what he does. It's so much like,
bro. We all love Ginny.
It's so unrewarded. Like, what he does is, we're going to realize if he and when he goes, we're then like, okay, I see it now. Because what he brings on the pitch, just that steady and calmness is scary. And unlike Thiago, Henderson and Fabinho, never injured. So as much as we want these players that always are in, I don't think Wijnaldum's ever been injured for Liverpool. I can't ever remember him being injured. Whereas we've seen it with Henderson. Thiago's just come, we've seen it. Fabinho, we've seen it as well now. Wijnaldum's just come in and just slot straight in and always plays. 90 minutes, 95 minutes, always plays. Solid play. Yeah,
heirs of the Kop here even saying Ginny could do a job at right back. I mean, absolutely, I have no doubt that Ginny would play well. And for me, it's not about dropping Ginny. It's more about Henderson and Fabinho have to play, and we've just got Thiago. So obviously he's going to play. And for me, Wijnaldum is that go-to midfield sub for every game. But bro, thanks so much for coming on. Top of the Kops, episode 22. You're on TalkSport and Sky Sports. Talk to us about where we can find you and what you're going to be up to in the coming months as we come out of lockdown.
Yeah, so TalkSport, I'm obviously lucky to be on TalkSport, lucky to be doing any of this work. It really is. But obviously, I've got my own show on TalkSport too, Monday to Fridays, called The Social, from 1 to 5. We're just almost trying to like build the show up in terms of getting guests and making it something that people can to listen to and enjoy. We're trying to attract a younger audience. I'm lucky as well that I do some stuff on TalkSport So it's been good at Sky. Got the transfer show coming up again soon, right? The transfer window is going to start again, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But I've been doing some interviews behind the scenes for them. We've been trying to interview musicians that support clubs. I interviewed Governor B recently, a big West Ham fan.
Classics, yeah.
Yeah, nice guy. Really, really just nice soul. So that's what we're doing with Sky. I actually go to Africa soon for ESPN to cover some boxing for them that I've been doing. So yeah, it's busy, and like I'm blessed for all the opportunities, man. I'm very, very blessed. I don't come back from a journalist background. There is nothing like that. So almost like you, we hustle. It's just a hustle,
trust me,
and that's all we're doing is hustling. We share the same kind of work ethic and love of Liverpool. That's why this connection was a must. But yeah, just working every single day, just hoping for longevity in this crazy game.
It definitely is a crazy game, and I think
no doubt.
A lot of people would have seen you on Sky Sports News. I was actually on there myself on your show, the transfer show back in the summer, where I think my precise words were, "Thiago is going to win us the Premier League again."
Jeez, so they're going to clip it. They're going to clip it.
They can clip it. Let them clip it. But I think I still stand by that, to be fair. So
no, you know what?
Before
we go quickly, honestly, that in Liverpool, like I tweeted that other fans should pray to the gods that Van Dijk's injured, because if Liverpool had their best 11, now you add Thiago into it, the season's a wrap.
It's a wrap. It's
a wrap, because off the bench would be Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Keita, Jota. All this is coming off the bench.
Shaqiri.
It would have been a wrap. They're lucky. Shaqiri, Wijnaldum, that would be off the bench. So it's a wrap. It's a wrap. They're lucky. They're lucky.
Trust me, bro. Absolutely. Ezra the Cop says, are you based in the pool, Ade? He's actually based in East London, I believe it is.
Based in East London, Stratford, East London. So Cockney Red.
Cockney Red. Love that. Listen, we love all Reds. Ade, once again, my brother, thanks so much for coming on. Guys, if you've enjoyed this episode, obviously, please give it a like, comment as well. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. If you'd like to follow Ade, I've put his Instagram in the description for this video. So please go ahead and give that a click. But until next time, we'll see you then. Take care.
Cheers.